We're learning halacha in section 303, halacha 22.
22. Wait a minute. This looks familiar.
No, halacha 23. All ornaments or garments forbidden by our sages to be worn in the public domain out of concern that perhaps the person would carry them by hand are also forbidden to be taken out to a courtyard for which an eruv was not established. So not just to a public domain, but also to your courtyard if there's no eruv. This safeguard applies both to men and to women. This you can, like if someone has a backyard, doesn't have a fence, so it doesn't have any kind of eruv. The question, like, are you allowed to take these things? Ornaments and garments that the rabbi said should not carry into public domain out of concern that you might carry it by hand. It seems like you're not allowed to take it into a courtyard either if there's no eruv. This is not considered as a safeguard that protects a safeguard, because usually you're not allowed to do safeguard protects a safeguard because there's no end to this.
Right.
So instead it is a single safeguard. The rationale is that in the eyes of the general populace, the prohibition against transferring an article to a courtyard is similar to the prohibition against transferring an article to the public domain.
Right. Marasayan.
It's the same thing in the eyes of people. If people were permitted to go out to a courtyard wearing such ornaments or garments, they may also take further license and go out to the public domain wearing these items. So they say, you give somebody a finger, he takes the whole hand, right?
That's the problem in Brooklyn they have with the arrows.
So therefore, our sages decreed, no, in Brooklyn there's a different issue because there's so much people, you can't make it really Rishus Hayochid. You can't turn it into a Rishus Hayochid, there's such a big mess. It's a
big machlokas over there.
And so therefore, when our sages decreed against wearing these ornaments and garments in the public domain, they also decreed that all ornaments and garments that are forbidden to be worn in the public domain are also forbidden to be worn in a courtyard that lacks an eruv. It doesn't have an eruv. But it's not a safeguard on top of a safeguard. Rather, you shouldn't do it because if you think you can do this, you're going to go... Right. People will look at you, they'll say, oh, he's carrying things in a Rishus Harabim in public domain. They only made an exception and permitted a woman to wear a kabul. What's kabul? 68 says...
Section 5 above, I don't know.
And a wig in a courtyard lacking an eruv, lest she appear unattractive to her husband. So she's allowed to wear a wig, so she'll be attractive to her husband. Where she says, they only made an exception and permitted a woman to wear kabul and a wig in a courtyard lacking an eruv, lest she appear unattractive to her husband. Were she not to wear any ornamentation, even in a courtyard, for this reason. So otherwise she wouldn't look attractive. For this reason, they allowed her to wear some of her ornaments. Now, if however an eruv was established for the courtyard, a woman is even permitted to go out wearing articles for which she would be liable to bring a sin offering, were she to go out to the public domain while wearing them. We're not concerned that she will forget and go out from the courtyard to the public domain while wearing them. There are authorities who differ with the above. They maintain that even at home, one is forbidden to wear ornaments that he or she is prohibited to wear when going out to the public domain. Even in your house, you shouldn't wear it. Why? This is a safeguard of perhaps the person will carry the ornaments by hand. In other words, it is forbidden to adorn oneself with them at all, with the exception of a woman wearing kabul or a wig, I guess it's a head covering, as a safeguard against going out with them into the public domain. This is not deemed a safeguard that protects. A safeguard because it is a near certainty that when one will desire to go out to the public domain, he will forget to remove the ornaments that are being worn, since he is not at all accustomed to removing ornaments when leaving his house to go out to the public domain during the week. Needless to say that even in one's home, it is forbidden to put on an article
Lipa.
Yeah.
Can you turn it off?
Needless to say that even in one's home, it is forbidden to put on an article for which one would be liable for a sin offering if taken to the public domain. It is therefore forbidden to place an object in one's bosom or in other places in one's garments on Shabbos, even in one's home. Similarly, it is forbidden for a person to hang a key or another article on his belt or any other place on his garments in a manner that he would be prohibited from going out to the public domain while wearing. License is granted to carry an article. License is granted to carry an article in one's home only in one's hand, for when an article is in one's hand, there is certainly no reason for concern that he will forget and take it out to the public domain, because he will see the article in his hands. When by contrast the article is not in his hand, there is a reason for concern that he will forget that he is carrying the article when he goes out to the public domain. So we'll continue, God willing, tomorrow.
Yes,